this video, we will look at the advanced EDID management and scaler options available in Netvio Matrix and AVoIP solutions. The inbuilt scalers in the Netvio Matrix and AVoIP solutions can be used to convert 4K video down to 1080p or lower, depending on the capabilities of the screens in use in the installation. EDID management, or Extended Display Identification Data, is a metadata format for display devices to describe their capabilities to a video source. For example, a 4K HDR display with 5.1 audio will tell this to a source when connected. However, in an installation using a Matrix or AVoIP system, there will of course be multiple displays with possibly different capabilities. This means that it is essential to select sources with video and audio format capabilities that work for the displays in use in the installation. In this example, I have a range of 4K, 4K HDR, 1080p, stereo, Dolby Atmos, and Dolby Digital 5.1 sources and displays. It is important that in the installation you choose the sources that are available to the user in each zone to ensure that they will be using the optimum video and audio format for their display. In the project config page, I have labelled the sources and zones with the resolution and audio formats supported by each source and display. You can expand each endpoint to view the current EDID and scaler settings. To edit these settings, select the endpoint or endpoints you wish to configure and head down to the video options below. Here we have the scaler settings for both the HD-Base-T and, if the Matrix has it, the mirrored HDMI outputs, which can be independently configured. The default setting is auto match to sync. However, this setting may not be preferable in all installation scenarios. It can also cause trouble with some older TVs that do not correctly report their EDID capabilities. To change the setting, simply select the mode you wish to use for the screen. Pass-through is the preferable setting for 4K HDR panels. In this installation, I'm only using HD-Base-T outputs, so I do not need to worry about changing the HDMI out. In an installation with all 4K HDR panels with Dolby Atmos decoders, it's quite acceptable to set all zones to pass through, as you will be passing through the optimum resolution from each source. However, as discussed in this installation, I have a mixture of 4K, 4K HDR, 1080p, and stereo 5.1 and 7.1 format devices. For this, I will need to select the 1080p devices in the property and select different scaler settings to limit to 2K on those signals. The Matrix will automatically handle the conversion of HDCP from version 2 to version 1 for these displays. We can now confirm that the scaler has been enabled and is set to limit to 2K on the 1080p zones. For our sources, we have a selection of 4K HDR 1080p sources, so it is recommended to set an appropriate EDID for each of these devices. Simply select the endpoint, press EDID, and you will be able to choose from a selection of EDIDs from our database. For SkyQ, the preferable EDID would be 4K, 2K60, 444, Dolby DTS 5.1 and HDR. You don't need to apply EDIDs, they are set when you press the Set EDID button. My next two sources are both 1080p stereo, so I will go and choose an appropriate 1080p stereo EDID. One Apple TV is a 4K HDR with 7.1, which should stay on the default EDID. The other is a 1080p stereo unit for viewing in zones that do not support 5.1 or 7.1 audio. And continue to set your sources appropriately. Once complete, you can confirm your EDID selection by dropping down the endpoint and viewing the two-way feedback for the EDID information. After changing the EDIDs for any sources and changing scaler settings for your displays, it is highly recommended to test all available sources and displays work correctly with your given panel. On rare occasions, some source devices may present problems with the EDID stored in the Netvio database. In these scenarios, it is highly recommended to copy EDIDs from a working panel. Simply select your endpoint that you wish to copy the EDID to, and in the index 0 you will see that you are able to choose from a display from around the home in order to copy that EDID to this particular input. The living room display is connected to my HD-Base-T output. You can choose whether it's connected to HD-Base-T or HDMI. Select the zone that you wish to copy the display's EDID to the particular input and press Set EDID. You may also export this EDID for use on a future site should you use that source device regularly. To do this, simply press Export, save the EDID file to your hard drive, and then at a later date, press the Import button to discover the file on your hard drive and reload into the matrix. You can view and copy the EDID data at the bottom of the screen, and using the standard bin files that are created, it is possible to use a series of online tools. My preference is MonInfo, which will enable you to view the EDID and which formats of video, audio and HDR are supported by that specific display. EDID and scaler options in Netvio's AVoIP solutions are very similar, with a few minor differences. It is necessary to select the HDCP version that you wish to use when scaling the source. Primarily, this will be used for scaling 4K HDR content down to 1080p, in which case you should always use HDCP version 1 and change the option to scaler and 1080p 50 or 60 Hz depending on your region. The default mode for AVoIP is pass-through. It also has an auto-match setting, which may be useful and can sometimes speed up switching if you have a particularly slow switching display. It is worth trying auto-match or fast-match options, as this can dramatically increase switching speed on problem displays. Scaler resolution can go down to 720p or up to 4K should you wish to scale sources. When you apply scaler settings, it does trigger a reboot of the device as it takes on the new settings. When commissioning EDIDs in the TX units, you will see the interface is very similar. However, there is no capability to copy an EDID from an output to an endpoint. This is because the HDMI data is not preserved across the network, as content is encoded and decoded. If you wish to take an EDID from an output, select the display select the EDID option, capture the EDID, and hit export. If the display is not currently on, it will not be possible for the receiver to capture the EDID from the display, so it is important that the display is powered on at this time. Press export to save the EDID to your hard drive. Back on your encoder endpoint, select your unit and then EDID, and then choose an appropriate EDID for your device. By default, we choose a 4K 30Hz 444 7.1 HDR EDID. If you wish to take this higher or lower, select either from our database, or just as with the Matrix, we can import an EDID from our hard drive that we have captured earlier. Once the EDID has been set, the unit will resync and go back to its status being online. After changing the EDIDs for any sources and changing scaler settings for your displays, it is highly recommended to test all available sources and displays work correctly with your given panel.